morning. Please stand, join me for Morning is Broken, number 38. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one night Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Thank you. That's a nice start to our morning. Welcome, everyone, to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where we join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world, or as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and live justly. Welcome, as always, to all of you who are here this morning, to those who are in the room, those who are live streaming, and those who are Zooming with us. It's great to have all of you as always. And as always, we welcome all that you come with, all of your uniqueness, your unique beliefs, background, lifestyle, experiences, all that helps make you who you are is welcome here this morning. So thanks for being here. A couple of announcements. Again, we are seeking volunteers to help work our Pride booth coming up this month. I think that's on the 8th, Saturday the 8th. So if you want to sign up for that, there's a sign-up sheet in the back at the table with the colorful flag on it. Also want to remind you or let you know, if you're not aware, that our congregational annual meeting is going to be happening on June 9th. Just a couple of weeks away. That'll happen after our second service, and we do need to have a quorum. So if you are a member, a voting member of the congregation, and can please plan on attending, we would appreciate that. Hopefully we'll get our Zoom working better than it did last year, so that those of you who are members from afar who want to join us and Zoom in and cast your ballots, we'll make sure that that's available too. So plan on joining us if you can on June 9th for our annual meeting, probably about 12:30 following our second service. I would also be remiss not to mention Memorial Day. I don't think you say Happy Memorial Day. It's a holiday that goes back to the just the end of the Civil War, and was really an opportunity to particularly remember those who have died in war. Initially, I think, soldiers who died in war, but a lot of people die in war, and has since turned into a holiday where we might remember a lot of people who have been important in our lives, who've passed away. So, but I do want to mention it as a way of honoring those who've lost their lives and have been lost to us, to our lives. Right, I do want to also take a couple minutes here at the start of our service to welcome our friends who are Zooming with us. So I think, much bigger crowd than there was when we did our sound check. Hi, everybody. There's Lynn Janician, who's usually sitting right over here first service, but she's probably visiting her cabin in this beautiful weekend. So hello, everybody.
Hello, Todd. And we have mostly familiar faces, but some back after a little bit of absence. Jack is here. Haven't seen him for a while. And so we're all glad to be here and looking forward to the sermon.
Wonderful. Well, I'm looking forward to giving it. I think it'll be a enlightening sermon. So, well, thank you all. And let's take a few moments now to continue greeting one another. You can do so here in the room or have a bit of a conversation on Zoom as well. Okay, please do stay around as always for social hour following the service, but we're going to move forward now by lighting our chalice. The chalice is the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of hope to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need, and may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
For our opening reflection, I offer the words of transcendentalist, philosopher, author, and Unitarian Henry David Thoreau, who in his book, Civil Disobedience, wrote of responding to an injustice. If the injustice is part of the necessary friction of the machine of government, let it go, let it go. Perchance it will wear smooth, certainly the machine will wear out. But if it is of such a nature that it requires you to be the agent of injustice to another, then I say break the law. Let your life be a counter-friction to stop the machine. What I have to do is to see, at any rate, that I do not lend myself to the wrong which I condemn.
Please stand, join me for number 18, What Wondrous Love.
What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul. To love and to all friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end I will sing.
We'll now kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our hearts and minds. And we'll begin, as we have been, for the people of Ukraine and that region of the world, as well as the people of Israel and Palestinians who are all suffering from the violence and devastation of war. Also want to kindle a candle this morning on behalf of everyone who are feeling the worst impacts of climate change right now. There's a lot of terrible things going on. Rains that bring deadly mudslides, tornadoes that are destroying whole communities, fires burning throughout Canada. Just this week we heard that it's predicted to have a terrible hurricane season that'll threaten coastal communities in many parts of the world. So we kindle our candles as a show of our concern and compassion for the many people being impacted by the worst impacts of climate change at this time. Let's do take a moment on behalf of others, and a moment of silence, and as always, you're welcome to name them aloud at this time if you wish. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. And we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission to the larger world.
Devotion first.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. Story for all ages time. So as always, I brought a special guest. Some of you may remember this guest who was here not too long ago. Although if I remember correctly, we cut him out of the first service, so you may have missed his visit just a couple of weeks ago, but this is Not from Noth. You're back, so how's it going, Not? Greetings, Earthlings, or as we like to say on Noth. Yes, when you were here just a couple of weeks ago, you told us that everything you do on your planet is the opposite that we do on ours. That is correct. We don't go to school until we're old. We let dinner get cold before we eat it. And we drink coffee just as we're going to bed. All right, well, that is the opposite of what we do, most of us do. So you also told us that the Nothing language is completely meaningless. Yes, on Earth you use words to express meaning. On Noth, words mean nothing. Well, strange as that seems, you also said that you never have wars on your planet. Is that correct? Since nobody other says anything meaningful, there are never any disagreements. Okay, well, I notice that you're speaking in the past tense. Have things changed on Noth? After visiting your planet, I decided to return to Noth and say something meaningful. Oh gosh, what did you say? I told them I like Star Trek better than Star Wars. And what was their response? We've been fighting ever since. Oh my gosh. Fighting over a TV show or a movie. I happen to agree with you about Star Trek, by the way, but that's terrible. I imagine that your superior technologies, with your superior technologies, war must be devastating on your planet. We don't have weapons on Noth. You don't have weapons. No weapons at all? Then how do you fight your wars? We call each other names. I see. That doesn't sound so bad. You should hear some of the names. Just yesterday, a Star Wars fan called me a... Well, I don't understand Nothling, but that does sound pretty bad. It's okay because I called her a... Woo, well, again, I don't know what that means, but it sounds pretty harsh. Yes, Mother said it was uncalled for. Your mother, so you and your mother are calling each other names. Sadly, she has chosen Star Wars over Star Trek, which all sentient beings know is the greater TV show in the entire galaxy. Well, I do agree, but calling people names just because they like a different things isn't really necessary. It's not. No, it's not. Who's there? I said not knock knock. Good, because we don't laugh at jokes on Noth. You don't. We cry. The opposite. Okay, well, war is no laughing matter, even if it is just a war of name-calling. So people have all sorts of differences, which you're going to have to deal with if you're going to continue to have meaningful conversations. Did you just call me a name? No, I think you did. But listen, Not, if you want to say something really meaningful, you should go back to your planet and tell your people that there's no sense calling each other names over differences of opinions. There's quite enough room in the galaxy for people to love Star Trek and Star Wars, as well as lots of other differences. Since you put it that way, I'd like to take back what I said. What did you say? Okay, that's okay. I wasn't offended. Now, please go back to Noth and make peace. After all, I do feel a little responsible since I was the one who encouraged you to start trying to say meaningful things. Yes, no to blame you. They do? Yes, they then calling you a... Okay, Noth, thank you. That's not the proper language for church, so we'll let you get back to your planet. Okay, what do? I think I just sit down now.
For today's meditation, I invite you into a state of repose. Make yourself comfortable, close your eyes if you like, and breathe slowly and deeply, mindfully, and reflect on the words of Baptist minister, political philosopher, and civil rights activist Martin Luther King Jr. An individual who breaks a law that conscience tells him is unjust and who willingly accepts the penalty of imprisonment in order to arouse the conscience of the community over its injustice is, in reality, expressing the highest respect for the law.
Wow, thank you all so much. Just beautiful. And also a beautiful message. Although I think it fits particularly with today's sermon's crimes of compassion, because sometimes it's very hard to not keep our light under a bushel. There's lots of forces and pressures to try to keep that light subdued. So that, more than anything else, is, I think, what today's sermon is about. So, for example, most of us know Charlie Chaplin as Hollywood's most beloved and famous silent film star. But the motion picture that caused his career and his popularity to take a downturn was a film with sound, The Great Dictator, released in 1940. Troubled by the global rise of militarism and nationalism, Chaplin wanted to make a movie poking fun of Adolf Hitler by turning him into a joke. But making such a comedy in the midst of a world war was discouraged and risky. Nevertheless, the Hitler look-alike moved forward with the project, later explaining, "I was determined to go ahead, for Hitler must be laughed at." The Great Dictator was an unprecedented box office hit and went on to receive 5 Academy Award nominations, including for Best Picture and Best Actor. U.S. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill both loved the film. But it also led audiences to take a different view of Chaplin, who for the first time used the medium and his fame to express his own political opinions, which were made clear in his personal and very serious speech at the end of the movie. And I'm going to present it here in its entirety. "I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone, if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there is room for everyone. And the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful. But we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We've developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and all will be lost. The airplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people, and so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourself to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate. Only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, fight. Don't fight for slavery. Fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke, it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man, nor a group of men, but in all men. In you, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power in a world that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill the promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us unite. With these words, the great dictator showed the world that its impish, innocent, comedic, entertaining little tramp had grown up and become a man with ideas and values of his own. Despite its box office success, Chaplin may have been better off had he simply remained silent. He was known for his silence, appreciated for his silence, loved for his silence, but everything began to change once he began to speak aloud. Although McCarthyism hadn't quite yet arisen, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover was troubled by Chaplin's political positions and used the FBI to take advantage of some of the star's personal problems to publicly smear his reputation, including indicting him with crimes in a case with so little evidence it was thrown out of court. Despite the damage to his reputation, Chaplin went on to make other films that also expressed his political views, including his opposition to capitalism and to the proliferation of nuclear weapons, which he called the most horrible invention of mankind. These sentiments were made clear in his 1947 film, Monsieur Verdeau, which drew boos at its premiere and was later boycotted. By then, McCarthyism was in full force, and Chaplin was accused of being a communist, which he denied, although he did support groups promoting Soviet and American friendships. Though he was never brought up before the House Un-American Activities Committee, the FBI considered him a threat to national security, as quoted in their own documents, and wanted him deported from the U.S., given that he was officially a British citizen. The government's attempt to do so failed, but in 1950, after Chaplin and his family went on a trip to Europe, his re-entry permit was denied. His films were shunned. He became a pariah in the U.S. and would not return again for more than 20 years in his 80s, when, with much trepidation, after he was invited to receive a special Academy Award. He was, for a long time, nearly erased from American culture and exiled from its society because he tried inspiring us to be our best by loving all of humanity, having an economy that works for everyone, and ending the threat of nuclear holocaust. What a devil. What a criminal. There have been and are many Charlie Chaplins in the world, and since I've spoken so long about his saga, let's use him as a placeholder for all those who have been similarly persecuted, exiled, or maligned for opposing authoritarianism and cruelty in the name of tolerance and compassion for all people everywhere. The dominant religion in our culture is Christianity. It's supposed to be based on the idea that God is love and that we must, as Jesus said, love one another. Yet how much opposition there is toward those who truly promote such love, by which I mean promoting human welfare and individual flourishing and freedom. Opposition towards those who, like Chaplin, call us to fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. What a demon. What a demon to capture the ire of the FBI. Those who authorities call threats to our national security, like Jesus, who was himself executed by the Roman authorities for his subversive teachings about universal love and nonviolence. Too many of us are ready to demonize and belittle those who call for genuine love and compassion. They give us derogatory names like bleeding hearts, lefties, tree huggers, even queer for choosing to love whomever we want rather than only those society has approved for us to love. Sometimes they even accuse us and try us for crimes, calling us traitors and sympathizers. Sympathizers. Simply for, again, doing as Jesus instructed, loving our enemies, calling us slurs like Indian lover, N lover, race traitor. How can we become a just and compassionate society when we are taught that love and sympathy are betrayals, perversions, crimes? How, when we are so ready to forcibly remove those protesting violence against others from their own campuses, or worse, to turn dogs and fire hoses and guns on them, can we call ourselves a Christian nation, or any kind of moral nation at all? Today, even as we witness the unmitigated and indiscriminate killing and torment of thousands of innocent civilians in Gaza, we resort to the name-calling, demonization, and criminalization of those who refuse to turn such horror into a silent picture. Anti-Semitic, terrorist, pro-Hamas, or even the mildest of accusations, pro-Palestinian. What an insult. Some individuals among these thousands of passionate demonstrators may say things that make us cringe and that all of us should rightly disagree with, but as a whole, what they are is pro-human, truly pro-life, and that is their crime. And I'm not referring to the narrowly focused definition of pro-life held by those on the far right who like to disguise and compensate for their disdain of life by dressing up as champions of unborn people while ignoring and even justifying violence and injustice against the living. I'm referring to those who are willing to risk their lives and their livelihoods, begging for the lives and well-being of others. Even those who the status quo forbids us to love, those they swear are our enemies. God forbid that any of us should dare, again, as Jesus instructed, to actually love our enemies. And I don't mean to myself demonize those who demonstrate such hypocrisy. It's not intentional on their part. They feel certain that their opinions are right, and those who oppose them must be wrong. And they equate the notions of being right with being righteous, and wrong with being unrighteous. And the righteous are always justified in doing whatever they must, however they can, to stamp out evil. So they believe. Everybody wants to be right. From an evolutionary perspective, this is probably because, like most animals, we are wired to avoid risks. Being wrong can get us killed, at least it could in our primitive state. So the probability of staying alive goes up if we repeat behaviors that haven't gotten us killed so far. All creatures are thus creatures of habit. It is their habits, their instinctive and repetitive behaviors that largely define a species. And these habits are biologically reinforced, at least in many creatures, including humans, with dopamine, a neurotransmitter that causes us to feel good. As the 2015 National Institute of Health article explains, dopamine plays a vital role in reward and movement regulation in the brain. Think about that. We get rewarded for moving in a certain direction. It feels good to move in a certain direction, in a certain way. It's analogous to the reins of a horse-drawn carriage, unconsciously guiding a species in the safest direction, safety being based on the probability that repeating behaviors that haven't got us killed are the safest bet. From the standpoint of inductive reasoning, based on probabilities, this is a pretty good strategy until it isn't. In the long run, however, repetition may be the very thing that gets an organism killed. When I place a mousetrap, for example, where I place it is predicted upon the mouse's predictable behavior. Today, our entire planet is in peril because of our species' repetitive behavior. We've known for more than a century about the greenhouse gas effect, but too many of us, particularly conservatives, are hyper-resistant to changing our ways. They actually fear changing themselves more than the disastrous planetary changes happening right before their eyes. This is so because changing our ways doesn't feel good. Changing our ways doesn't feel good. It feels dangerous because that's how we're wired. Even if reason and evidence tells us that we're wrong, that our habits have become the real danger, the reins guiding us keep pulling us in the same old direction. We're compelled to keep repeating ourselves no matter what, the entire time feeling that we are absolutely right and therefore righteous. Our species, dumb as it often continues to behave, is also highly intelligent. We have thoughts as well as instincts. We can reflect rather than reflex. We can take hold of the reins for ourselves and consider the best course of action rather than being driven by irrational fears and habitual behaviors. As the NIH article further explains, in the reward pathway, the production of dopamine takes place in the ventral tegmental area, in nerve cell bodies. From there it is released to the nucleus accumbens and prefrontal cortex. Okay, in layman's terms, which I am a layman. This pleasant neurotransmitter begins in the same area of the brain responsible for pleasure, reward, and addiction. That's where dopamine comes from. The same place responsible for pleasure, reward, and addiction. And that it is directed, than to the larger part of our human brain, the prefrontal cortex. In short, feeling right goes straight to our heads. Feeling right goes straight to our heads. When it does, we can easily become addicted not only to our particular behaviors, but as human beings, to our own thoughts. Addicted to our thoughts and our beliefs and our ideas. Bound to repeat them over and over and over and over. This is true of us all, but particularly, again, so of conservatives, right? That's what the word means, who take pride in their stubborn unwillingness to change their ways, which is why they are conservative. They are proud of clinging to the ways of the past, again, believing when we are right, that we are righteous. Another way to look at it is that evolution has improved our chances of survival by getting us hooked on repetition, including repetitive thoughts. As biologist Rupert Sheldrake once said, things are the way they are because they were the way they were. Right? Neural pathways are developed by repeating the same experiences. Just as a path across the fields is developed by constantly beating down, going that same route. We're addicted to repetitive behaviors and as a thinking species to, again, repetitive ideas. And like any addict, we cling with ferocity to those behaviors and ideas that will give us our next dopamine rush. When this is the case, unconscious and instinctive forces are pulling our reins, even though we think that we're in charge, doing what we determine, and believing what we choose. And anyone who says otherwise, suggesting there are better ways and other truths, become a threat that must be eliminated. Like unconscious cells, our society collectively attacks the threat by attacking new and different ideas as if fending off a virus. But I'm not explaining all of this to make a case for greater tolerance, as important as tolerance is. The point of today's sermon is not about becoming more open-minded, but about how collectively threatened we feel by those reminding us of what we should already know. And when we're at our best, we do know that we must be compassionate towards others. That, as Chaplin said, we don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there is room for everyone. Jew and Gentile, black man, white, along with Palestinian, Ukrainian, liberal, conservative, criminal, outcast, and anyone else we self-righteously determine is the evil other. The point I'm making today is that throughout human history, society has habitually demonized those calling for compassion. This has happened again because we fear going in new directions, even with our thoughts. And because of our addictive neurochemistry that causes certainty and self-righteousness to feel really great. Today, Charlie Chaplin is an example of all those who, like him, were maligned and persecuted for calling upon society to do the right thing. Deep down, we all know is right. That's why all people everywhere have come up with the golden rule. That's part of our nature, too. But how do we know what the right thing is? How do we know what the right thing is? Beyond the dopamine rush we get for allowing ourselves to be tugged in this direction or that. Well, the truth is we don't. Not for certain. Morality is a complicated and controversial subject. Yet this cannot mean that it should be based upon our instincts and our emotions, on what feels good to me in this moment. Not on our neurochemistry or our whims, nor on our denial of the dignity of those who don't look, act, and think as we do. We must learn about and consider the field of ethics and determine in advance of any situation what shall be our moral guide. Wresting the reins from our ancient biology and giving it to our prefrontal cortex, where our executive function and empathy are in charge. Figure out what your ethic is so you can override that instinctive programming. Moral behavior must be reflective, not reflexive. It must be broad, not narrow. It must be selfless, not selfish. What a coincidence. The right thing to do is what's going to benefit me. What a coincidence. The right thing to do is what's going to make me feel good. For me, as I have often said, morality ought to be rooted in human flourishing and individual unfolding. This is the humanistic ethic, first expressed by Immanuel Kant. This is categorical imperative: never treat others as a means to your own ends, but as an end within themselves. Then revamped during the French Revolution as the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And articulated again in the 20th century by Erich Fromm, my favorite, who said, "The principle that good is what is good for humanity and evil is what is detrimental to humanity. The sole criterion of ethical value being human welfare, and that the unfolding and growth of every person should be the aim of all social and political activities. Everything we do should lead to human flourishing and individual unfolding." And by the way, you can't destroy your environment or show a lack of empathy for other creatures on this planet if you're going to be a full human being. That's part of what we need to be fully grown, fully developed. Charlie Chaplin put the humanistic ethic even more simply when reminding us, you have the love of humanity in your hearts. You have the love of humanity in your hearts, and that this is what ought to motivate our actions rather than, as he also said, the bitterness of those who fear human progress. And we're not progressing much today because of this progress, this fear of human progress. I've also mentioned the sayings of Jesus, whose ethic was also clearly humanistic: love one another, including our enemies. That's a lot easier said than done, which is why a man whose good news proclaimed that we are all God's children, including especially those who have been outcast and demonized, was soon worshipped instead as God's only child. The man who proclaimed we are all God's children was worshipped as God's only child. For by claiming only one person has such distinction, or one religion, or one nation, or one political party, people gain the excuse to disdain and disregard the dignity and even the lives of all who are not among the elect religion, the elect nation, the elect party, especially of those who dare to remind us of what is truly righteous, compassion and care for all of humanity, and of what is truly real, the universal brotherhood and sisterhood of people everywhere, not the imaginary boundaries and borders we draw to erect to keep us segregated and apart. Those things are not real, but our genetics is. As the great Sufi poet Rumi once said, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in the grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. I believe that this field has a name. It's called love and compassion for one another. Not only is it a place where we can meet, it is the only place where we can meet. Thank you.
Please stand, join me for number 1008 in our teal hymnals, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
For our benediction, I offer the words of civil rights leader and American politician John Lewis. Speak up, speak out, get in the way, get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America. Amen. Blessed be. Salam alaikum and shalom.